So lately I have been playing around with a lot of ships. I was trying to find out what would work the best for the new space, and I almost forgot that you have one certain needle drag that can be used on a battleship that can theoretically put a battleship into frigate space, which would be pretty awesome since you will have a very good time over there with a prepared ship. Of course, the chances to get there with a battleship are 1 in 3. That's what I've been told. Now, I will go and check out how the Nestor will perform in the frigate space. And I would say battleships with drones are definitely the best option, since the drone boats can carry small and medium drones, which will be much more comfortable to use than, let's say, large drones. I'll also show you one example of why I prefer drone boat battleships with a bonus on all drone types. Very useful when you are presented with a space like Kalevala Expanse, where you have the space open for a certain ship class, or should I say space where you will find only one or two type of ship size, and in order to counter smaller ships you have to have the smaller drones. Now here I was trying to figure out what kind of build I'll use, and honestly, if you are going over there with a battleship, then having a lot of tank isn't really going to be very important, since you will be fighting destroyers and frigates. Also, you'll be fighting player ships that will also be frigates or destroyers, and the drone boats can easily handle these threats. Now you can also technically encounter other battleships inside, but they will usually be quite slow and you can warp off before they can lock you down. But the smaller ships will also be killed quite easily, since you can use those drones inside those anomalies to basically be anti-tackle. Very interesting concept. Now, I'll be using a very similar build to this one when I try out the Nestor in the cruiser space, since you can technically land, I think it's completely random. You can technically land in battleship space, in cruiser space, and in frigate space. That's why the chances to land is basically 1 in 3. Although, if you have a specific build, if you're aiming for a, let's say, frigate space, then you might have some problems or some trouble to clear the battleship anomalies if you do end up in a battleship system. So ideally you want to equip your ship to be able to handle all of the situations, all of the different types of systems that we have. And I'll also be using the aerospace tactic implant just to see how it will work. Now again, you don't need to get a battleship to clear the anomalies. Easily doable with a destroyer, easily doable with a frigate. The only thing that you need to have is basically a good build. A good build solves all the problems. Usually a tanky build. You can also pick a sniping build, but honestly the normal anomalies aren't that much of a problem to clear. Now the centrums, on the other hand, yeah, they can definitely be more serious, and the centrums are usually designed for a fleet. Now, does it necessarily mean that you have to go for the centrum? Well, no, since the loot is usually about the same. The centrums do drop a bit better loot, but it's also designed for a fleet. You can get a lot of ease by clearing the normal anomalies with ease. doesn't require you to have a very expensive ship to do that. It just requires a tactical approach to it. If you don't have a lot of let's say ISK to spend on a ship, the cheaper option that can get the job done without a problem is sniping long range basically. Long range ships are very nice for the normal anomalies. Technically you can also use them for the centrums, but at the centrum anomaly, once you go through the acceleration gate, you will have to land at 0 and they can quickly be on top of you. So it is recommended to stay with the normal anomalies if you are in a long range sniping ship. So far, like, my experience with the new region is pretty good. It's not perfect in a way that ships do feel too tanky in some instances. It is fun, it is challenging, but in some cases, especially when you look at the Centrum, and the ships in the Centrum normally are very, very tanky, very tough, and while it's not going to be much of a problem for a cruiser, for a battleship to clear this, solo with a frigate or destroyer, yeah, might be a problem. In a fleet it will work just fine, but alone, yeah, if you go here alone, usually not a good idea. Well, not exactly a good idea. I mean, if you can do it, then it's it's good, but it gets kind of stressful when it takes like 5 minutes to kill one ship. But the loot in the end is really solid. The loot in the end is indeed very solid. Now, here I encountered some little problems with tracking on these drones, so I'll just put them back in the drone bay. If you do go with a battleship, try to have some drones that have good tracking. If you can pull that off with heavy drones, with large drones, then you can do it with large ones, but in my case, I'll just put the medium ones in, since you are supposed to use the medium drones here if you are fighting smaller ships. That's just how things go. Medium or small drones have much better tracking, they're smaller, much faster, and they will have no problem to chase down smaller targets that you will find. And they can also be very useful against Asteros, although I don't really think any Aster will dare to attack a drone boat, since drone boats, a properly equipped drone boat will eat an Aster for breakfast. So yeah, you are quite safe. If you encounter any Aster, you should be relatively safe. You don't have to worry much about a single Aster. I mean, even if you encounter like 5 of them, you can kill them, since these little ships will just, they will not have enough DPS to burn down through your armor. And this is a Nestor, so you can expect a beefy armor on this thing. It does have a 20% bonus on all damage, on all resistance on them, on the armor. One of the key attributes for the Nestor, which again are really nice. I have only 1 integration and 2 DPS rigs on the Nestor. Figured that it would be enough, although honestly even 1 integration could technically be unnecessary. But you can have good DPS and a relatively good tank for these systems, and I kind of went with a more balanced way of fitting the ship in this case. And well, we are going to the second room. Didn't take long to clear the first one, went pretty smoothly so far. After all, this is a battleship.
Drive active.
Now there is this whole topic of should a battleship even be allowed to enter, but at the same time you can also enter with the smaller ships in the battleship systems, which is kind of funny. You have a needle drag for every single specific ship type, and you can run around in the large systems with a cruiser for PvP, for hunting basically, or with a bomber. It does have a very nice use. So I guess that's the reason why they allowed battleships to enter the
We're under attack.
the smaller systems. Now, am I completely like 100% fine with that? Well, I wouldn't say that I would say that's pretty weird to have a battleship run around in free space, but maybe it will be changed down the road. Maybe not. I think it will be changed at one point, but we will see what will happen. I don't really think that it should be allowed to have battleships run around, but you know, at the moment you can. And my honest advice would be to actually take advantage of the fact that you can sneak in a battleship in the frigate space, and you can make a lot of ISK right now in the Kalevala Expanse systems. Honestly, you can make a lot of ISK, and most of the ISK is actually coming from those planetary materials. They are very valuable at the moment, and these ships here drop a lot of them, so you can just relax and farm easily. You can also bring a friend or two, and you know, play with them, and then you can collectively just farm ISK or materials and then sell that on the market. It does have a market for that. It does have a market. And it doesn't really take too long to sell everything. So at the moment, if you like to fly smaller ships, this is honestly a very exciting and a very fun way to make ISK. It doesn't really take long to clear. I would personally still recommend that you stick with the normal anomalies, since honestly the Centrum can be stressful if you're solo. For solo, the normal anomalies are just fine. But if you want to go run a Centrum, you can. I'm just saying that the normal anomalies are definitely much more enjoyable, and maybe in some My apologies, I got distracted by something. I had to, yeah. We'll have to. Never mind. I'll talk about that another time. But yeah, the small anomalies are definitely normal anomalies are much more enjoyable than the Centrum, at least if you're a solo pilot. Although this Nestor, I could have went with a bit more DPS, I guess. Maybe what I'm lacking at the moment is a bit more DPS. Would love to have just a tiny bit more DPS. You can technically go with a glass type build. Not that I recommend to do that, because it is technically null space. Technically it is null space, so you still want to have at least some form of tank on this ship and on any ship in general. Really, you want to have a tank. You never know what can happen. And what kind of tank build I recommend? Well, I already did have a bunch of builds for the Nestor. I would still stick to the old builds they did for this ship, since I mean they still work, and if something works, then it doesn't have to be changed. The only thing I guess that can be different is the clear time. With less DPS and more tank, you do have better defenses, but the total clear time will be different. So you will be clearing much slower, and it will take much longer to complete the whole anomaly. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Well, I mean, it depends. It goes both ways in the end. Maybe it's a good thing since you can easily tank if you get jumped. Bad thing is, well, it might take longer and the ISK per hour output will be... then the ISK per hour output will be significantly reduced. So in the end, I would say it's player preference. If you like to go with a tanky build, you are free to do. We are free to go with a tanky build. If you like to go with a glass build, you can. But again, I personally don't recommend to go with a glass build since it is not entirely recommended. I already got a lot of. It would be fun to actually check out how many materials did I actually get from how much ISK do I have in the cargo hold? Since again, last time was about 700 million. It depends. I mean, it already depends. On the current market estimates. All depends on the market estimates in the end. And let me just quickly clear the second room to just to clear the second room, or this is the third room. I don't even know what room this is, but I'll clear it regardless of if it's the first or last. I mean, this does take quite a while to clear from start to finish. I did one. I think I tried to clear one with the Ashmo. And it took me, I was literally clearing it for like more than 2 hours. And it was funny because there was just wave after wave after wave, or should I say room after room after room, and it never stopped. It never, like, I was there for like 2 or 3 hours and I wasn't able to find the end.
Enemy ships detected. We're under attack.
But in the end, the loot was definitely worth it. And well, that run basically kind of changed my overall look I had on the Kalevala Expanse. I already knew that it was good. I wasn't just aware how good it actually was, and turns out that it is indeed very good. At least for now it's good. I have no idea if they will change that down the road. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I don't think that they will change the overall. I don't think that they will change anything regarding the loot drops. At least not now. We will see if that will be changed down the road. But as of now, I don't think that they will change anything regarding the the loot drops, since it is already pretty good as it is, and a lot of players already like the way it works. So I don't really think it will be changed. Will be interesting to see what's the next possible thing that they add. I'm personally waiting for wormholes. I know I probably said that like a million times, but I'm very excited for wormholes, since that's one of the things that I really enjoyed. Well, really enjoy. I mean, it would be very fun the way if they do. I think when they do implement the wormholes, and we know that they are working on that. They already said that, like. So time to check and see how much cargo I have in the Nestor. Now the market estimates go up and down all the time. You never really have the exact amount of ISK in the cargo. But I'll just do a quick calculation here with what I had carried around. Now I'll start with those crystals, or I think they're called CS crystals or something. So let me go and find. They're under planetary materials, right around the corner. There they are. Non-CS crystal. Okay, 137,000 for one. I have 1,733 in the cargo, which means let's just do a little math over here, and 223 million just from those crystals. Of course, this could be higher, could be lower, depending on well, of course, depending on the current market price. This is the cheapest, of course. This is the cheapest that I'm doing the calculation with. Next is the precious metals. They're a bit less valued, but still decent amount of ISK. And then we have these blueprints. Now, they used to be quite expensive, and last time I actually checked the blueprints, I wasn't able to find them anywhere. So I don't really know how much the blueprint is worth, the actual price of the blueprint. Maybe the price is quite low, maybe the price is quite high. Again, it really depends on the current situation market. Well then, 16, almost 17 million. Okay, that price definitely did have a nosedive. Might be more profitable to build those blueprints and sell them, because I know some of these modules can be ridiculously expensive, especially those generators and the new modules that are only bound to Kalevala. They can be quite, well, they used to be quite expensive in markets. Last time I checked, some of them have been over 1 billion ISK, so maybe that's where the money is at. However, for some of these modules, I wasn't able to find any proper price on the market, so the blueprints, if they end up being good, then I guess it's just even more ISK. But for how little time I actually spent there, 220 plus million is decent for such a short amount of time. And of course, ironically, it is much faster to get all that with the frigates clearing normal anomalies than to run the Centrum solo with Battleship. So yeah, that's why I'm saying that the normal anomalies are definitely much more fun and can be more dynamic and more profitable than the Centrum, since the Centrum is the way it is. It can drop good stuff, but it is just annoying how tanky these things are over there. And the normal drones in the normal anomalies aren't they're not too weak, but at the same time you can kill them easily. So and the loot drop is basically the same, with the exception of the blueprints. The blueprints are kind of only for the special anomalies within the Kalevala Expanse systems, but you don't necessarily have to go get the blueprints. The normal loot is just as good. But with that being said, that was the run with the Nestor. Pretty interesting. We'll see if I can't come up with a different idea, but so far I'm pretty happy with the with the performance from the ship. I can only improve the performance by adding more DPS. Maybe I'll do that next time out of curiosity, but with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you would like to support me, feel free to like and subscribe, and with that being said, stay safe, fly safe, and as always, I'll see you next time.